Crypto market does look interesting and confusing as usual. We are right now observing BTC inflows to exchange running higher. It's like 1.7x higher, 177%. But the market and the price action is showing you I'm grinding higher and the altcoin is slowing down. This is XRP on the short term and we are coming back down. If we bounce from the moving average, which would be 0.5, that is going to be a positive indicator. But on the macro, we are still here. We are still observing the point that the RSI is not yet bouncing into this territory. We are still having negative movements. We look at the volume still is negative. So we'll have to wait and see how this day ends. If we have a lot of selling volume and the price is not dropping much, okay, that shows some bulls are still in there fighting. But right now on the 3-day chart, don't forget the fact that even if you come back higher, the pattern actually suggests on a 3-day chart you may come lower. That still is a huge possibility for XRP. Now the same as you go on the weekly, right now a new week has started. So the last week showing you the possibility of the correction, it can only be invalidated if we close this week above 0.53. But what is the market doing right now? If you look at the market, it does show you a lot of these coins are starting to break through. A lot of these coins are getting more volume and it is starting to burst through. While you look at the volume of XRP in different exchanges, different places, here in coin Paprika, it shows you like 6 billion. And if you go in coin stats another place, you get something lower, 2 to 3 billion, but it still is a huge move from where we were last day. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, when you actually see the deficit spending increasing, you also have to understand the inflation is going to go up. And the inflation is not only for the bread, egg, and milk, it is also going into the asset pricing for sure. We saw how that came into the market back in 2021. But what's more important right now for us who are here in the market is to observe the fact that the market is trying to push higher. Altcoin market has not broken higher yet. We are still at this level of resistance, which the market is respecting right now. What we want to see is the market breaking through this level, and that too with momentum. Right now, week after week, we are getting slowed down in the terms of volume. Now, this is Ether. So while you focus on Ether, it does show you, yes, the volume is going down. Whereas on XRP, it shows you like the volume is going higher. And there is a fun fact like, okay, we got another central bank announcement coming out. And that kind of shows you like, okay, this does make a lot of sense. It kind of shows you the possibility of what they are looking at. Because the era of US, France, Germany, that kind of stuff is now slowing down. The next area, the growth is going to be big in China and India. And while you look at these regions where they are tying their hands up right now, they are showing you way better growth rate than the others. So this actually means while we see a lot more announcement from Ripple, it is going to be literally interesting to understand this. And one of the tweets from Crypto which actually makes a lot of sense, is like the adoption is increasing for projects with a ton of fundamentals. That's why we see Hedra here, the HBAR Foundation, and then we see Polygon and Ripple. And especially while we talk about the central bank currencies, the picture becomes even more clear. Here, it kind of highlights you the central bank actually gives you the idea that Ripple is used by them. So when they actually use Ripple platform for central bank digital currency, it's an asset for them. Whether it's a depreciating or appreciating asset, that's another story. But it is a digital version of their fiat. So while we look at the fact that this new central bank is giving us the idea that, okay, they were working with a lot of central banks, and any ideas which we had from our research is still strong. So right now here, the central bank from Montenegro signs agreement with Ripple to develop a digital currency strategy, and that's a pilot version. So they are all stepping in. And actually, when you're looking at this, it kind of read you through simultaneously. The European Central Bank is working to develop a digital euro concept as a future means of safe, secure, practical electronic payments. Now, we heard from Christine Lagarde what they are going to do with that. So, there is concerns. But whatever it is, it kind of gets into the picture of fundamentals. And that's one of the reasons why we see Ether is dropping in volume, whereas we are getting a lot of volume in XRP. Right now, we are kind of 10x the volume which we weigh in the same platform while looking at it on fair basis. Like 3 days back, we were like 600 million, and right now we are 6 billion. That is actually a huge shift. Now to the price action side of this. Say on a weekly, we are still here. We still have to go through this entire week and see what's happening. But to be fair, while you look at the market and try to make things a bit more clearer, what do you think the market is showing you right now? For me, from my eyes, what I'm observing right now is that the price broke this level. It is still having that level of bullishness. The tail here is showing you it's moving to the upside. So I'm moving into a 3-day chart. It is showing like, okay, I'm still moving up, but the fall here had a higher momentum. Now that's concerning because usually when that happens, you go retest the range and then go back down to make a level of support. So that's what we are looking at for XRP. Now, while we look at the Bitcoin dominance rising and say, okay, Bitcoin has some room to run, now we want to make some sense of it. Like, a lot of people would be selling you the idea, oh yeah, 12,000 is not over, but 15,000 is coming, that kind of crap. But here we are trying to break through a critical range. $30,000, it really was like a huge zone for a very long period of time. Remember, December 2020, we broke this level. After which we retested that by Jan 21. We came back to that level by May-June 2021. Then again, we came back, consolidated that area by May 2022. Then what happens? The Luna Terror comes in. That pushes the price lower. You get that panic in the market. Great. Right now, when you're going into that territory with a bullish shaped candle like this, it does show you like, okay, either the sellers are backing out or they are freaking out. Because right now, bulls are becoming so strong. Now, it's so easy for us to just go into a line chart and look at this and say like, okay, that's a crystal clear reversal signal. Whether I'm a bull, whether I'm a bear, whatever my thought process is on this asset, it is clearly a reversal signal. And if you are the normal TA guy, what we are looking at is a 50% run higher. Now plot that as we just talked last time. We are looking for something like $37,000 run in Bitcoin. Now, yes, we agree on the fact that big YouTubers and crypto accounts are actually giving you the thought process of 30,000, 33,000. We are going back down. Maybe 10,000, maybe 15,000. All those crap are still out there in the market. Now, we need to actually see what time brings for us. But right now, it does not actually show you that it is trending down. Whatever we are observing now, it's not a crystal clear pattern for sure. But if you actually try to follow this, it actually bounced up, came back lower here. Then it bounced higher here. Great. Then we had some panic till this point. Then we are going up. So by this level, you had some kind of consolidation and now you're going up. So if you literally look at that by reducing the momentum and the noise in the market, now we kind of get like, okay, a clear picture. And if you really want to do that in the easier way, I would usually go look at the candlestick chart and the RSI. But to be on the easier version of that, you can go take the Heikin-Ashi chart and then come on to your RSI. So it kind of smoothens your RSI at that level, or even if you go on a line chart at that point, it kind of smoothens things out. Because we know the reason, right? It's a Heikin-Ashi chart. So while you actually go on the Heikin-Ashi, the RSI is kind of clear. It kind of gives you the best picture in Bitcoin, showing you, okay, whether you are a bull or bear in this asset, this is so clear. The market is going higher. Now, historically speaking, market rarely enters this range. And when it enters this overbought range with momentum, it's literally a bale region for the price action. Now, what we have to understand is the fact that, okay, we'll get volatility for sure, whether it's short term, macro, whatever. But what you need to keep in mind is that assets which you are on, what are those doing right now? Say we just looked at XRP. On the macro, we are still here. It does look good. On the RSI side of it, things are really looking bright because you just had this pattern which broke to the upside. And on the normal technical side of things, we would actually say like, okay, if it's me, I would actually take this move and say, okay, this can actually run something like this. Great. So in terms of the price, when you're here in the market, you see like, okay, no, we see something different. We have a fake out here, but in the RSI, we didn't get that. So that's literally noise in the market, right? And right now, you are erasing that noise. It's trying to kick that part out of the market. When your weekly moving average is turning up, you shouldn't be going bearish. Now, the same idea we may actually take into a different asset. Say, for example, we can take it into Cardano. It's one of the fundamental assets out there on the smart contracts side of things. Great. Here we look at this particular asset. And what do you see? A steady, steep decline with a trend line. That was well respected. Now, this is a weekly. You can go on a 3-day. You can go on short-term horizon. It's all good. But what we need to understand is the fact that it is forming a reversal pattern, which is good, which is a great sign that it gives the market the idea that there is a possible range. Now, if you actually zoom in on a daily or 4-hour, you can actually get this picture a little bit more clear. You get one thing there, you get another one here. So that's your head and shoulders pattern. So it's a inverted head and shoulder pattern on the daily, and as soon as you zoom out, you kind of get the reversal signal, rounded bottom reversal. But what is going to be the trigger which would say like, okay, yes, here we go? That's going to be a breakout in the RSI. Right now, we still are waiting to get that. And on the macro side of things, we'll say like, okay, this is what we are looking at, right? So it's not only the short-term resistance, it also happens to be the long-term resistance. So unless we break through this range, we're not going ultra bullish. But when we do break, don't go bearish on assets which are breaking macro resistance. And that's one of the primary reason why we say don't go bearish on XRP. Right now, you literally broke through a long-term trend line and you're staying above that. You're not actually coming back down. And whatever we discussed on the short-term scenario, remember when you are on a daily, you get the 1, 2, 3 pattern. You are going for some kind of correction, all agreed. But right now, you have a pattern formation here, which is 1, and the 2 is happening. The correction of 2 has not yet ended, accepted. Great. But the wave 3 is going to come back for that nano structure. And when that comes, most likely, Bitcoin is going to slow down. So while XRP slows down here, you're going to observe Bitcoin run higher. And that's one of the other point. Like, if you remember, we raised a point saying, okay, XRP is going to slow down, but during that time, we will see Ether running up. And while we were talking about that, it was somewhere here, 1,700. Right now, Ether is 1,900. Great. So it does show you the picture like, okay, it is moving up. But we are at a short-term resistance, which is something not that serious, but still important to watch how the market is reacting at that level. Because right now, when you plot that level, you kind of see like, okay, that was a resistance. We are faking out here. We need to get a bounce to the upside. Otherwise, what's going to happen in the price action is like you can slow down because this signal, that hammer happening at a resistance is not a huge positive sign. And we just talked about the scenario, right? Bitcoin dominance is actually hammering the side of things. So that does not actually give a huge bright side for the entire altcoin market. But while the Bitcoin runs up, we'll also see some of these assets turning literally positive. If you remember the breakout call for Render, it is literally materializing. It's getting momentum. It's slowly grinding higher. Now we have our targets, we have our positions, and if you are looking for something like that, the breakout calls, the targets, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. Now, as we continue in the market, especially popping assets most likely would be present or visible in like 200, close to that range in market cap. And then you can observe some of these coins may actually give you a huge opportunity to look at. Say, for example, if you actually enter into the market, you can look at a lot of different assets. We'll select one from what we just saw in the market. We'll take that on the macro and look at this. This is something literally for me, I'm like, okay, that's breaking higher. It does show you like, okay, that's a huge pattern you're breaking through, and it looks like a decent ROI structure, right? Now, this is just one. And in the market right now, you're watching at least 10, 20 assets showing this, and at least half of them having enough volume, half of them getting enough market attention. And there are some news narratives playing out for these assets as well. And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm posting this in the group. If you are interested, you can have a look there. Now, remember, as you go through the shorter and shorter and shorter market cap sizes, it's going to be like, you're trimming the level of your risk reward structure. You are now going into a heavy risk range. So unless you're so sure about the projects, you shouldn't be betting heavy on them. Say here for me, I'm like, okay, Dent, it's a small cap asset, agreed, but the project looked promising for me. I can be wrong. But while I look for a product in the market, it does have a good product in the market. It's working. You can download the Dent wireless in your mobile and it works. With the Apple coming out and giving you the idea. Now, this is the news and narrative and what you have to focus on while you look for assets, right? Apple coming out with an eSIM is literally giving more and more weightage to this idea of what they're doing. So I think this is going to be a great long-term investment, and the pattern you see in the market kind of verifies like, okay, that's interesting. You can see a huge reversal pattern, and if that reversal pattern happens, what do you think it's going to do? It's going to do macro level wonders. I remember calling this asset out back in February here, and then it actually pops, boom. It was like 100x from the bottom, and I think we kind of saw around a 50-60x here, right? Yeah, 45x. That was a huge rally. And right now, the market is showing you something similar. It's up to you how you research the market, how you look at the price action. But right now, there is no denying the fact that the market is showing you signals where you should be taking time, learning things, and taking the right decision and actions. You literally have a generational wealth creating opportunity in this market as the Bitcoin is running up. Because on the other side, what we are observing is this. Dollar went up, tried the moving average, but it's slowing down. Unless it breaks the moving average, that doesn't look good. Because personally, I was thinking like, okay, it can actually come up here, test that range, which would be still good, and then get rejected. But right now, it's still getting headwinds. It's actually getting kicked down, and gold is actually standing against it. So these are the macro perspective you need to understand, because investors are moving out of dollar. They are looking for something. Gold, silver can be safe haven assets, but what is it going to be? How's the narrative going to play out? You need to understand all of this, because when oil is breaking through this range and going sky high, that's nuts. If oil actually goes like 100, 150, 200, these are going to be like killing a lot of these countries. The prices of normal things are going to go back up. Central banks will have to hammer the market again. But how long will we see before all of this plays out? We really don't know. And that's why being focused in the market and learning things as soon as you can and executing it is really important, because right now you see the market at $1.3 trillion. Imagine it's going to a $5 trillion, it's going to $8 trillion, it's going to $10 trillion. By the time this market cycle is over, let's see, where we are actually doing, where we are going. Say right now, Bitcoin is like 30,000 and you're here. And Bitcoin is about 50% of the market share. And if Bitcoin is going towards a $20,000, that from here is like 4x and 50% of the market share. So you are literally looking for that pushing the market, and then the altcoin market gaining value, Bitcoin dominance dropping to 30%. That means, yeah, 5 to 8 or 10 trillion dollars is not a big deal. But if the dollar is actually dropping sky high, I mean, it's not going up, you're literally dropping from the sky and dropping to the water. If that's the scenario, you're not stopping at the water, you're drowning from that level too. So if that happens, now the prices can be even different. Bitcoin can go to 300,000, maybe a million. Who knows if that hyperinflation happens in dollar. If dollar gets devalued, that's going to be something you'll have to study and identify the potential opportunities for you. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.